Okay, we're zooming. Okay. All right, that's the end of my homework and we're gonna go to the notes. So we are starting at the beginning of our 2.8 notes. I know we did some a word problem yesterday, but we'll get that last word problem another day. These problems say determine whether these functions are positive, 0, or negative. So we're going to do some interval notation today. You guys remember interval notation?
Yeah.
When do I use parentheses versus when do I use a bracket?
Oh, I know that.
Okay, Max, help me out.
Okay, so when we're doing like the less than and greater than, if it's just less than or greater than, it's with the parentheses.
Mhm.
But when it's like less than or equal to, you're doing correct.
Very good.
And
Maybe you need to add on to that?
when you're graphing, you do like a full circle if it's a bracket.
Okay.
Equal to.
Perfect.
I wasn't gonna say that, but then I was gonna like say, it's
Yeah,
because
yeah.
you, with the or equal to, you can include it in the solution required.
Good. I like using both wording, greater than versus greater than or equal to, open versus closed circle, and then is it included in the answer? So those kind of words are the right idea. So interval notation, I think I told you like second week of pre-cal, this is your lifeblood. We're gonna do a lot of interval notation. Okay, so what we're gonna do first is I'm gonna treat this, we're gonna sketch this out as a graph. Okay, if I'm gonna sketch this as a graph, I care about if this function is positive or negative. Which one is it? Positive. Why is it positive? Good. There's no leading coefficient that says otherwise, so it's positive. So it's a positive graph. And is it even or odd?
Odd.
Odd. Good. Why? Yep, I've got square, and then I've got another x. So there's 5 total x's there, and 5 is an odd number. Good. Can you show me with your arms what a positive odd looks like? Mhm. Good. So it starts low and then it's going to end high. So we're going to do that on our graph. All right. The other thing I care about when I sketch is my zeros. And it's already in factored form, which is amazing. What are my zeros here? Yes, Ava.
-3, -1, and 4.
Good. I'm going to say -3 and 4. I'm not going to say -1. Let's actually do this off to the side. X squared minus or x squared plus 1.
It's not an odd.
Oh, yeah, no, it'd be odd.
Good. We're going to -1 from both sides. And so I get x squared equals -1, which is square root of that is plus or minus I. Now, can I go graph that on my x-axis? No, does he count as a 0? Does he count as a rational 0 that I can graph?
No.
If I can't put him anywhere, he doesn't belong. Sorry. So I only care about -3 and 4. Now, are any of those zeros, is anything funny happening at any of those zeros? Yes, Andrew, what's happening?
Bounce at
Awesome. There's a bounce at 4. Do I have enough information now to sketch a little graph? Yeah, I'd say. We're just sketching. We're just trying to get an idea of what's happening. We don't need anything too exact. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to go -3, and I'm going to go +4. I'm going to start low and I'm going to end high, and I got to remember to bounce at that 4. Okay. I'm going to cross over at -3 like normal. I'm going to bounce at 4 and I'm going to come back. My little arrows were just, oh no. My little arrows were just to guide me, so I'm going to erase those. Now I've got a graph. Does that look good to everybody? Awesome. Okay. Now that's not what the question asked. It didn't say sketch a graph. It said determine whether or determine where it's positive, 0, and negative. Okay. If I'm negative, that means I'm where? Ryan?
where the Y's are all.
Where the y's are negative? What's another like way that I could say that? Ella, say it again. Below the x-axis. So everywhere below the x-axis, that's negative. So where's positive? Ava?
Anything above the x-axis.
Good. Anything above the x-axis. And then where are my zeros at?
It's just where it's
Just where we're on the x-axis, right? Where we're 0. Okay, perfect. Now, not all questions will ask us to identify all of these. Most of them will only ask us to identify one, but we're going to do all of them. We're going to say the interval where f of x is equal to 0, where f of x is greater than 0. Guess I'm going to do greater than first, and f of x is less than 0. Now, we could have already done where f of x is equal to 0 because we already have those, right? Those are just our zeros. When I write just single numbers and not an interval, I like to use these curly braces. Ooh, that was really ugly. There you go, that's a little bit better. The curly braces and just list the numbers in there. So it's going to be -3, 4 with another curly brace. Okay. When I do f of x is greater than 0, I cannot include 0 because I did not say greater than or equal to, I just said greater than 0. So I actually have two intervals here. What's my first interval where we're greater than 0? Quinn? -3 to 4, so from here all the way to here. Very good. Do I have parentheses or brackets there? Greater than parentheses. So see how based on the fact that I've got parentheses on one and the braces on the other, those look very similar, but they mean different things. So it's important that we know that. And then what's my last interval, Ava? 4 to infinity. Good. Parentheses again. All right. Now I have to do where f of x is less than 0. Where is that at? Zach?
-3 to -3.
Good. I want the smallest one first, which is -infinity. Good. -infinity, -3. And those are still parentheses. Awesome. I will not ask for all of these on the future ones. I will give you just one of those notations and we'll just use that one, okay? But we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna sketch the graph, we're gonna draw our graph, and we're gonna decide where we care about the function being. So let's look at the next one. Same idea. I'm gonna ask you positive or negative. Positive, even or odd. Even. Show me with your arms, what does positive even look like? Touchdown Jesus, here we go. Love it. Okay, so that's what my graph is gonna look like. Now what are my zeros? Good. Anything funny happening? At 6, awesome. Any imaginary zeros or are all of these just real normal ones that we're used to? All regular ones, all real. All right, once I have this, do I need to do anything else or am I ready to sketch? Let's sketch. Okay, I'm gonna go to -7. -4. 6. Right, I'm gonna start high, I'm gonna end high. And I'm gonna bounce at +6. So cross, cross, left over, and bounce. All right. Everybody good with my sketching so far? Okay, my answer comes from my interval notation, and this says f of x, and the symbol it gave me was less than or equal to 0. Where here is my graph less than or equal to 0? Yeah, Max,
Wait, that one.
this little guy right here. What is this point?
-7,
Good, and what's the other one?
4
Good. Do I get to include those or those brackets or are they parentheses?
for bracket.
Why brackets?
Because it's equal.
Because it's equal to, good. So we're gonna say -7 to -4. I'm gonna argue there's one more thing we need to include here. Why?
It's equal to.
Good, because it says or equal to, so we also have to include that 0, which is 6. I'm gonna use my fancy braces on this one to include the 6 there.
Do you need to list all of them again?
You don't need to list all of them again. You need to list this as an interval though, but you don't need to list the other ones because we've already taken care of -7 and 4 already. That's a great point. Okay. How are we doing so far? Good? Awesome. Okay, next one. This one, it's not in factored form, but don't panic because we can factor this out, right? And if we can't factor it out, then we're going to use our PRRs. But I do believe I gave us a good factored one from the beginning. Don't you agree? Let's factor. We're going to do our little grouping. You guys are generally pretty good at this. Do I need to explain or are you guys plugging and chugging? Just moving, okay. And -1, x -4. Okay, once you find your zeros, we also need to find whether it's positive or negative, even or odd. Help me with this one. Is this, I know it's positive, and I think we all know it's positive. Is it even or odd? Why?
Because, you can tell like by the X third start, you factor it out with, you multiply them all together, the highest variable will be.
Good. So, important thing, if you look at the very beginning, it's just the first one. So x to the third is even, is odd. Or if you look at it in the factored form, I've got a square and I've got an x, which is also 3, which is odd. What a lot of times we want to do is count 3 plus 2 plus 1. We don't do that because we only do that in factored form. When it's unfactored, you just look at the first one.
So you have to factor for the.
Yep.
first.
Or you can just look at the very, very first term. You would just ignore everything else and we would only look at the very first term. Leading term. Okay, that's an easy mistake to make, so I want to make sure we were good. So everyone's good that this is odd, right? Positive odd, which means it starts low and then it ends high. So let's sketch it. Do I have any weird bouncing or anything? Nope, just simple cross, 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 cross. And I don't care how high or low your peaks and valleys are. So I made this high, like really high for some reason. I don't know how high it goes. It might just be a little tiny loop. I don't know. It's just was how I just moved my pencil. It doesn't really matter. All that matters is it is positive. Now what they want is this. They want where our function is greater than 0. There's our function greater than 0. And so are we looking above the x-axis or below? Above, so everything above. So I've got here, I've got here. Do I include my zeros here?
No.
No. Okay, what's my first interval? Ryan?
-1.
Good. What's my second interval? Barrett?
4 positive.
4 positive 30. Sorry, I got you on a yawn. Am I bracketing or parentheses? I just put parentheses, but was that right?
Yes.
Yeah. Greater than. Okay. Cool. Just had to double check. Sometimes I forget. All right. Cool. Let's keep rolling. We've got another one here. This one has 4 terms, but it doesn't look like it's factorable, right? I think we had a PRR this. Let's do some PRRs. And this is a good little practice. Can you remind me how I find my PRRs? Yeah, Ava.
You take, and, which is 24 and without the variable.
Yep.
And, once you find those, then you divide by factors of the, leading coefficient, which is the 1 and 2, and then the, it would be plus or minus, and then once you divide it with the, factor of those numbers.
Okay. So what are factors of 24? Did you say 3? Okay. 8. 12, 24. 1 and 24, 2 and 12, 3 and 8, 4 and 6. That works. And then underneath that is 1 and 2. That means it's mostly all the same numbers. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 8, 12, 24. Wolf, that's annoying. And then I've got to divide all the odd ones by 2. So 1 divided by 2 would be 1/2. I don't need to do 2 divided by 2 because that's 1, right? And I already have 1 counted. I do need to do 3 divided by 2 to get a 3/2. But 4 divided by 2 already took, 6 divided by 2 we already have, 8 divided by 2 is good, 12, yeah, we're good. Now, we will not check all of these, you'll check certain ones. Normally we start at +1, we go -1, +2, -2. I'm gonna give you a hint that the first one that works is gonna be -2. You guys know how to plug and chug and find them on your own, right? But for sake of time, so we can finish this problem, can I just tell you the first one's -2? Let's do -2. Once I've got -2, what do I do with this again? Synthetic division, okay, perfect. 2, -7, -10, 24. Okay. All right, good. I told you it was gonna work and then it did, which is awesome. So now that I'm here, I have this as a new quadratic. Let's write it in terms with x's. So I've got 2x squared minus 11x plus 12. So one of my zeros is -2. I can't forget about that one. Now you can either do factoring or quadratic formula. I think this one factors 2x will probably be 12. I think I got 2x minus 3 and then x minus 4. Is that what you guys got?
Yes.
Okay. So that means my zeros are -2 that I got from synthetic division. And then from factoring, I get +3/2 and +4. We're still gonna graph this. It's still a polynomial. Those are my zeros. Is this positive or negative? Even or odd? Odd. So let's graph that. Is everybody doing okay? Am I moving too fast? Yeah, good. We look at the very first term. So just this guy right here, he tells if it's positive or negative and if it's even or odd. Great question. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I got a graph at -2, +3/2, which is between 1 and 2, and then at 4. Positive odd means it starts low and ends high, and we've got no bounces. It's just all gonna go right through. Cross, cross, cross. So we had to do all the PRRs, the synthetic division, the solving in order to graph my function. Now I care about where my function is greater than 0, not greater than or equal to, just greater than 0. So my function is greater than 0. Where is it greater than 0? Andrew?
The first like notation would be correct to see -2.
Yeah.
And then median
4 to infinity, good. So again, we're doing above the x-axis, so it's -2 to 3/2 and then 4 to infinity. We do not include the zeros because it is not an or equal to. Okay. This is a pretty good spot. We'll do a couple calculator problems. We'll do some more of those. I'm gonna be honest, we may have some video that we need to finish this up so I can give you a full day of review on Monday. I will have study guides for this next test tomorrow. Because I don't see you until Monday. Monday's our review day, and you guys test on Tuesday. So I want to make sure that you have the study guides over the weekend if you want to use them, okay? Let me turn you off.